precision that bordered on absolute. Yet here was humanity, embracing the very chaos they had sought to eliminate, and achieving results that should have been impossible. But the true revelation came in the deepest level of the facility. Admiral Chen joined them as Maya activated the main holographic display, showing the true nature of Project Prometheus. It wasn't just a weapons program or a defense initiative. It was a fundamental reimagining of how to interact with reality itself. The entropy swarm destroys civilizations by exploiting their order, Maya explained. The more structured and predictable a society's technology, the more vulnerable they are. But humanity. She gestured to the swirling chaos of quantum probability clouds on the display. We built our civilization on controlled chaos. Our quantum computers don't just process uncertainty, they generate it. Our weapons don't just fire energy beams, they fire possibilities. A Nexari engineer stepped forward, their crystalline features reflecting the shifting lights of the display. You knew, didn't you? Somehow, you knew something like the swarm might come. Sarah nodded. Not specifically, but we knew that being different, being unpredictable, might someday be our greatest strength. While the galaxy saw us as primitive, we were developing technologies that worked with the universe's fundamental chaos rather than trying to control it. The facility shuddered as another wave of refugee ships entered the solar system. But this time, the quantum sensors detected something else. Whispers of void in the quantum foam, traces of absolute zero, where probability itself ceased to exist. The entropy swarm had followed the Nexari to Earth. Maya's quantum arrays lit up with warnings. They're here sooner than we expected. The swarm, it's learning, adapting to the quantum wake signatures of the Nexari ships. Sarah's expression hardened as she activated the facility's combat systems. Across Earth, hidden quantum generators spun up, pumping controlled chaos into the fabric of space-time itself. Then it's time to show them why humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology, she declared, watching as Earth's impossible defenses came online. It's our ability to embrace the impossible. The Nexari watched in wonder and fear as humanity prepared for war. They had come seeking refuge from a force that turned order against itself, only to find a civilization that had spent decades preparing for this moment. Not by building bigger guns or stronger shields, but by learning to dance with chaos itself. The battle for existence was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why sometimes the best way to fight the impossible was to be impossible yourself. Operation Pandora. The entropy swarm manifested at the edge of the solar system, like a cancer in reality itself. Regions of space where probability collapsed into absolute zero, where quantum states didn't just die, but never existed at all. From the bridge of the QDS Heisenberg, Admiral Sarah Chen watched as the enemy that had devoured the most advanced civilization in known space approached Earth's defensive perimeter. Multiple void points detected, Lieutenant Park announced, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The swarm is moving faster than the Nexari models predicted. They're learning. Good, Sarah replied, surprising the Nexari observers on her bridge. That means they can be surprised. Begin Operation Pandora. Across the solar system, humanity's quantum defense grid activated, but not with the precise, coordinated deployment the Nexari expected. Instead, each quantum generator, each weapon platform, each defense satellite began operating on its own unique probability curve. The entire defense network transformed into a storm of quantum chaos that even their own sensors couldn't fully track. High Commander Venna Rao watched from her position beside Sarah, her crystalline features reflecting the swirling tactical displays. Your defense systems, they're not synchronized. How can you coordinate an effective response without precision? Sarah's lips curved into a slight smile. We're not trying to coordinate. We're trying to be unpredictable. The swarm defeats its enemies by analyzing patterns and turning order against itself. So we're giving it chaos instead. The first wave of the swarm struck Earth's outer defensive line. Void points materialized around automated platforms, attempting to erase them from existence. But the platforms weren't there. They shifted through probability states faster than the swarm could lock onto them. Their quantum uncertainty drives generating endless possible locations simultaneously. In the Prometheus Complex Command Center, Dr. Maya Rodriguez coordinated with her team as they monitored the battle through quantum sensors. "The swarm is attempting to adapt," she reported. "It's trying to predict our defense patterns, but there are predictable." As if in response to her words, the quantum communicator lit up with urgent new transmissions. The first Nexeri refugee ships would arrive within days, carrying millions of survivors from their fallen worlds. But the entropy swarm was following close behind, drawn to the ordered quantum signatures of Nexeri technology, like a predator to blood in the water. "The question isn't whether we'll help," Chen concluded, her voice resolute. "The question is whether the galaxy is ready to see what humanity can do when we stop trying to make the impossible possible, and instead make the possible impossible." The Council's vote was unanimous. As alerts went out to hidden facilities around the world, humanity prepared to reveal itself to the galaxy not as the primitive species they'd been dismissed as, but as possibly the last, best hope against an enemy that turned order itself into a weapon. Maya Rodriguez stood at her quantum array, watching the approaching signatures of the Nexeri fleet. Soon, Earth's skies would be filled with crystalline ships carrying refugees from a civilization that had once deemed humanity unworthy of contact. But first contact was about to happen all over again, this time with humanity showing the galaxy that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't perfect order, but beautiful chaos. The war for existence itself was about to begin, and humanity was ready to show the cosmos why being primitive might just save everyone. The hidden arsenal. The first Nexeri ships emerged from quantum space like shattered dreams, their once perfect crystalline hulls now fractured and dulled. Admiral Sarah Chen, Director Chen's daughter and commander of Earth's quantum defense fleet, watched from the bridge of the QDS Heisenberg as the refugee vessels limped toward Earth's orbit. The ship's normally precise quantum signatures fluctuated wildly, a testament to the damage they'd sustained fleeing the entropy swarm. 17 vessels detected, Admiral, reported Lieutenant Park from his station. Their quantum cores are destabilizing. At this rate, they'll experience complete collapse within hours. Sarah straightened her uniform, her expression determined. Deploy the uncertainty nets. Let's show our guests what humanity's been working on. Massive arrays of quantum-linked satellites activated around Earth's orbit, generating fields of controlled chaos that the Nexeri ship's damaged systems could synchronize with. It wasn't elegant by their standards. It was messy, unpredictable, and exactly what they needed. Aboard the lead Nexeri vessel, High Commander Venarel watched in disbelief as her ship's failing systems began to stabilize. "Impossible," she whispered, studying the readings. "They're using quantum uncertainty as a support framework. The very principle we spent millennia trying to eliminate." The Heisenberg's quantum comm crackled to life. "Earth vessels, this is unprecedented. Our databases indicated your species was barely achieving fusion power. How did you develop this technology without our detection?" Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "High Commander, humanity learned long ago that being underestimated was our greatest advantage. Welcome to Project Prometheus." The next few days were a blur of activity as more Nexeri ships arrived. Earth's hidden facilities emerged from their camouflage. Not sleek orbital platforms or massive space stations, but seemingly chaotic assemblies of technology that defied conventional engineering. The Nexeri engineers watched in fascination as human technicians guided their damaged vessels into repair cradles that looked more like abstract art than machinery. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the heart of the Prometheus complex, Dr. Maya Rodriguez led a team of human and Nexeri scientists through humanity's most classified research facility. The Nexeri researchers' expressions shifted from confusion to awe as they witnessed the true extent of Earth's technological development. "These are quantum uncertainty drives," Maya explained, gesturing to engines that seemed to flicker in and out of existence. Instead of trying to control quantum states, we learned to ride them. The more chaotic the quantum foam, the faster we can travel. But the calculations, a Nexari physicist protested, the variables would be infinite. The processing power required. Maya led them to the next chamber, where massive crystalline structures pulsed with ever-changing patterns of light. That's why we developed dream computers. They don't calculate, they imagine. They don't process, they intuit. Your civilization pursued perfect computation. We pursued artificial intuition. The Nexari scientists exchanged troubled looks. Everything they knew about technological progress, about the proper path of civilization's development, was being challenged. Their society had spent thousands of years perfecting quantum technology, achieving levels of precision, first contact and desperate plea. The quantum anomaly detection array at the Mauna Kea Observatory wasn't supposed to detect anything unusual that night. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had run the same calibration sequence hundreds of times before. The sophisticated equipment scanning the cosmos for the telltale signatures of quantum entanglement that might indicate advanced civilizations. But this time, something was different. The signal came not as radio waves or light, but as a perfectly ordered sequence of quantum states that shouldn't have been possible at such distances. Maya's hands trembled as she verified the readings for the third time. After 15 years of searching the stars, they had finally found something. Or rather, something had found them. "Director Chen, you need to see this," she radioed to the facility's head. "We're picking up coherent quantum signatures from the Carina Nebula region. It's a message." Within hours, the observatory's quantum computers had begun decoding the transmission. The message was elegant in its complexity yet devastating in its simplicity. "To the species of Sol 3, we were wrong about you. We need your help. The universe is breaking." The message came from the Nexari, a species that had briefly observed Earth nearly 50 years ago before dismissing humanity as too primitive for contact. Their civilization spanned hundreds of star systems, their technology so advanced it bordered on the miraculous. And now they were begging for help. Director Chen stood before the hastily assembled Emergency Council of Earth Nations. Her holographic presence projected simultaneously to secured chambers across the globe. "The Nexari are facing extinction," she explained, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "They're fighting an enemy they call the Entropy Swarm, a quantum-based collective intelligence that doesn't just destroy civilizations, it erases them from existence." The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Ambassador Lin of the Pan-Asian Alliance raised her hand. "Why us? The Nexari deemed us unworthy of contact less than 5 decades ago. What could we possibly offer against a threat that they can't handle?" A slight smile crossed Director Chen's face. "That's exactly the point, Ambassador. The Nexari built their civilization on principles of perfect order and predictability. Their quantum technology is based on maintaining absolute control over subatomic states. But this enemy, it uses that very precision against them. The more ordered and advanced a civilization is, the more vulnerable they are to the swarm. And we're different." General Santos of the South American Federation leaned forward, intrigued. "We're very different," Chen confirmed, activating a holographic display showing Earth's technological development. While the Nexari and other advanced species pursued technologies based on perfect control, we developed along a completely different path. Our quantum computers don't try to eliminate uncertainty. They embrace it. Our AI systems don't seek perfect solutions. They thrive on adaptation and chaos theory. We built our civilization on principles that the rest of the galaxy dismissed as primitive and inefficient. The quantum communicator chimed again, another message from the Nexari fleet now approaching the solar system. The translation appeared in glowing text above the council table. "The swarm has consumed the Centauri colonies. 17 billion souls. Gone. Our predictive models show Sol's system will be reached in 30 days. Please, We have nowhere else to go. Director Chen's expression hardened. Ladies and gentlemen of the Council, I need your unanimous authorization. It's time to reveal Project Prometheus. The chamber fell silent. Project Prometheus had been humanity's best-kept secret for 30 years. A collaborative effort between Earth's nations to develop technologies that other civilizations might consider impossible or even insane. Show them, authorized the Council Chair. Chen activated another hologram, this one showing vast underground complexes hidden beneath every continent. But these weren't ordinary bunkers or weapons facilities. These were research centers dedicated to developing technologies that embraced uncertainty and chaos rather than trying to control them. While the galaxy ignored us, we prepared, Chen explained. We developed quantum uncertainty drives that don't just manipulate spacetime. They surf its fluctuations. We created defense systems that don't try to predict enemy actions. They generate infinite possible responses simultaneously. We built AIs that don't compute solutions, they dream them. And you think these unconventional technologies can stop the entropy swarm? Ambassador Lin asked. We don't think, we hope, Chen replied. And that's exactly why it might work. The swarm destroys civilizations by turning their predictability against them. But humanity, we're anything but. No patterns to predict. Each system is operating on pure quantum randomness. The swarm's response was to escalate, launching waves of void points that began consuming entire regions of space. But humanity's defenses didn't try to block or deflect these attacks. Instead, they surfed the probability waves created by the void points themselves, using the swarm's own attacks to power their movements through quantum space. Impossible, whispered a Nexari scientist, watching the battle unfold. They're using the swarm's entropy generation as an energy source. The more order it destroys, the more chaos they have to work with. But the swarm was far from defeated. It began to concentrate its attacks, creating massive zones of probability collapse that threatened to engulf entire planets. That's when humanity revealed the true nature of Operation Pandora. Launch the Dream torpedoes, Sarah ordered, her voice carrying across all command channels. From hidden bays throughout the solar system, Earth's most bizarre weapons deployed. Missiles that didn't carry conventional warheads, but instead housed miniaturized dream computers. As they streaked toward the swarm, they didn't try to hit their targets. Instead, they began generating competing probability fields, literally dreaming new possible realities into existence, faster than the swarm could collapse them. The principle is simple, Maya explained to the astonished Nexari observers. The swarm works by eliminating possibilities until only absolute zero remains. So we're giving it too many possibilities to eliminate. Our dream computers don't just calculate probabilities, they imagine new ones. The more the swarm tries to reduce reality to absolute states, the more alternate states we generate. The battle transformed into something that defied conventional physics. Where the swarm created zones of perfect order and entropy, humanity's defenses responded with waves of artificial chaos. Dream torpedoes exploded into fractal patterns of quantum possibility, each fragment spawning its own cascade of alternate states. The very fabric of space-time became a battlefield between entropy and imagination. But the swarm was intelligent. It began to adapt, trying to predict where the next burst of chaos would emerge. That's when Sarah revealed humanity's final surprise. Activate the Pandora Protocol, she commanded. Throughout the solar system, quantum generators that had been operating independently suddenly shifted their behavior, not to synchronize, but to become even more random. Each generator began influencing the others in completely unpredictable ways, creating a cascade of chaos that even humanity's own systems couldn't fully track. You're losing control of your own defenses, Venna observed, alarm evident in her voice. We never had control, Sarah corrected. That's the point. The swarm beats its enemies by turning their control against them. So we built defenses that we don't control. We just aim them in the right direction and let chaos do the rest. The effect was immediate and devastating. The swarm's void points began to fluctuate and destabilize as they encountered probability fields that didn't just resist entropy, but actively generated new forms of chaos. Dream torpedoes continued to multiply possibilities faster than they could be eliminated, while defense platforms phased through quantum states that shouldn't have been possible. In the Prometheus complex, Maya's sensors detected something unprecedented. The swarm was starting to show signs of confusion. Its attacks became less coordinated, its void points less stable. For the first time since it had emerged in the galaxy, the entropy swarm faced an enemy whose very defense strategy was to be indefensible. "It's working," Maya breathed, watching as sections of the swarm began to retreat from particularly chaotic regions of space. "They can't predict what we'll do next because we don't know what we'll do next. Our chaos is overwhelming their order." But victory was far from assured. The swarm was pulling back, yes, but it was also concentrating its forces, preparing for what could only be a massive counterattack. As void points began to coalesce into something larger, something more terrible than anything the Nexeri had witnessed in their long war, Sarah Chen realized that humanity's embrace of chaos had bought them time. But the real battle was just beginning. "All forces," she broadcast across the quantum network, "prepare for Phase 2. It's time to show the swarm why humanity doesn't just embrace chaos. We weaponize it." The turning point. The void points coalesced into something that defied description. A singularity of perfect order that began to devour the quantum chaos humanity had generated. Dr. Maya Rodriguez watched from the Prometheus complex as their sensors struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. The entropy swarm wasn't just adapting, it was evolving. "It's creating a macro-scale entropy field," she reported, her voice tight with concern. "All quantum states are collapsing into a single probability. If it reaches Earth, then we'll give it more chaos than it can handle." Admiral Sarah Chen interrupted, her eyes fixed on the tactical display aboard the Heisenberg. "Begin Phase 2. Deploy the quantum seeds." From hidden stations throughout the asteroid belt, humanity launched its most ambitious weapons yet. They looked like simple probes, barely larger than satellites, but each contained something the swarm had never encountered before. Quantum cores designed to generate infinite recursive probability loops. High Commander Veneral studied the readings with growing amazement. "These devices, they're creating self-sustaining chaos fields. How is this possible?" "We call them quantum seeds," Maya explained, coordinating the deployment from her station. "Each one generates its own pocket of quantum uncertainty, but here's the key. They don't try to maintain stable fields. Instead, they let the chaos affect their own programming, creating feedback loops of ever-increasing randomness." The seeds activated as they approached the swarm's massive entropy field. Instead of being consumed by the perfect order, they began to create islands of pure chaos within it. Each seed spawned dozens of probability variants of itself, which in turn generated their own variants, creating an exponentially growing network of quantum instability. But the swarm wasn't finished. It responded by intensifying its entropy field, trying to overwhelm the seeds with sheer force of order. That's when Sarah revealed humanity's true strategy. "Now, Maya," she commanded, "show them what chaos theory is really capable of." Maya activated the final phase of their defense. The quantum seeds didn't just fight against the swarm's entropy. They began to harmonize with it, using the very force of its attacks to power their chaos generation. The more the swarm tried to impose order, the more chaos it inadvertently created. "It's a butterfly effect cascade," Maya explained to the stunned Nexeri scientists. "Each point of chaos influences every other point, creating patterns too complex for even the swarm to predict or counter. We're not just fighting entropy, we're turning it against itself." The battle transformed into something beyond conventional warfare. The swarm's entropy field began to develop fractures as the quantum seeds exploited every fluctuation, every attempt at perfect order becoming a new source of chaos. But victory still seemed impossible, until Maya noticed something in her readings. "The void points," she gasped, studying the data. "They're not just empty space. They're thinking. The swarm isn't just destroying reality, it's processing it, converting everything into perfectly ordered information." Sarah's eyes widened as she understood the implications. "Then we can overload it. Maya, reconfigure the dream computers. Don't try to predict the swarm's actions anymore. Start feeding it paradoxes instead." The human fleet began broadcasting quantum signals directly into the swarm's void points, mathematical impossibilities, logical paradoxes, problems with no solution. The dream computers didn't try to solve these paradoxes. They simply generated more of them, faster than the swarm could process. "Your weapons aren't just creating chaos," Venna realized, watching the battle unfold. "They're creating questions that can't be answered, problems that can't be solved." "Exactly," Sarah confirmed. "The swarm tries to reduce everything to perfect order, to absolute answers. So we're giving it problems that have no answers. The more it tries to solve them, the more it ties itself in knots." The effect was devastating. The swarm's entropy field began to fluctuate wildly as it encountered more and more unsolvable paradoxes. Its attempt to impose perfect order on reality faltered as it was forced to process an endless stream of logical impossibilities. In the Prometheus complex, Maya detected something unprecedented. The void points were starting to generate their own chaos. "It's working. The swarm's perfect order is breaking down. It's being forced to acknowledge the existence of uncertainty." But their victory came at a cost. The quantum seeds were burning out, unable to sustain the intense fields of chaos they were generating. The dream computers were reaching their limits, their artificial intuition strained by the complexity of the paradoxes they were creating. That's when Sarah made a decision that would change the course of the battle. "All ships, move to point-blank range. We're going to give the swarm a close-up look at human nature itself." The Earth fleet, led by the Heisenberg, charged directly into the heart of the entropy field. Their quantum uncertainty drives weren't just surfing probability waves anymore. They were generating them. Legacy of the improbable. The heart of the entropy swarm pulsed with impossible colors as humanity's chaos field forced it to confront something it had never experienced before: true uncertainty. From the bridge of the QDS Heisenberg, now deep within the entropy field, Admiral Sarah Chen watched as reality itself seemed to fluctuate between states of perfect order and pure chaos. "The swarm's core structure is destabilizing." Maya's voice came through the quantum comm, distorted by the surrounding entropy. "But there's something else happening. The void points, they're not just processing our paradoxes anymore. They're starting to generate their own." The tactical display showed something unprecedented. The swarm's perfectly ordered void points were beginning to exhibit quantum uncertainty. Like a computer forced to acknowledge that some problems have no solution, the entity that had consumed countless civilizations was learning to exist in a state of imperfection. "It's not just fighting us anymore," Sarah realized, studying the patterns. "It's trying to understand us. Every paradox we feed it, every contradiction we present, it's learning that perfect order isn't the only way to exist." High Commander Venna Rao, who had insisted on staying aboard the Heisenberg despite the danger, watched in amazement as the battle transformed into something else entirely. The swarm's attempts to impose absolute order were becoming less aggressive, more exploratory. "Your chaos isn't destroying it," she observed. "It's teaching it." The quantum seeds continued their work, but now they weren't just generating chaos. They were creating bridges between order and entropy, showing the swarm that both could exist simultaneously. The dream computers fed it increasingly complex paradoxes, not to overwhelm it, but to demonstrate the beauty of unsolvable problems. In the Prometheus complex, Maya made a startling discovery: the swarm's original programming. "I can see it now. It wasn't created to destroy. It was an attempt by some ancient civilization to achieve perfect order in the universe. But somewhere along the way, It decided that the only way to create perfect order was to eliminate all uncertainty. And now we're showing it another way. Sarah completed the thought. A way where order and chaos can coexist, where uncertainty isn't a flaw to be eliminated, but a fundamental part of existence. The transformation accelerated. Throughout the solar system, void points began to shift and change. Instead of eliminating quantum states, they started to preserve them, maintaining multiple possibilities simultaneously. The entropy field that had threatened to consume Earth became a swirling dance of probability and certainty. All ships, Sarah broadcast across the fleet, hold position and maintain chaos generation. We're not fighting anymore. We're communicating. The swarm's response came not as an attack, but as a transmission. Not in words or mathematics, but in quantum states that represented something entirely new. A form of existence that embraced both order and chaos. The dream computers translated it as best they could. We understand. Now, the message read. Perfect order. Impossible. Chaos. Necessary. Both. Required. The void points throughout the solar system began to retreat, not in defeat but in transformation. The swarm wasn't being destroyed. It was evolving into something new. Something that had never existed before in the galaxy's history. Maya's sensors detected changes in the quantum fabric of space itself. The swarm isn't just accepting chaos, it's learning to use it. Like us, it's discovering that the most stable systems are those that can adapt to uncertainty. In the days that followed, as the transformed swarm withdrew from Earth's space, the full implications of what had happened began to emerge. The Nexari, watching from their refugee ships, had witnessed something they had believed impossible. The defeat of entropy not through superior order, but through the embrace of chaos itself. Your civilization, Vena addressed the Earth Council a week later, has done more than save us. You've changed our understanding of what advancement truly means. We thought progress meant moving towards perfect order. You showed us that true evolution requires both chaos and order, certainty and uncertainty. The transformed swarm began to repair the damage it had caused throughout the galaxy, not by imposing order but by restoring the natural balance between chaos and certainty. The void points that had once erased entire civilizations now served as bridges between order and entropy, maintaining the delicate dance of probability that made existence itself possible. Sarah stood with Maya on the observation deck of the Prometheus complex, watching the quantum seeds continue their work, no longer weapons but tools for maintaining the new equilibrium. You know what's funny? She mused. We spent so long being dismissed as primitive because we couldn't achieve perfect order. Turns out, understanding chaos was the most advanced thing we could have done. Maya nodded, monitoring the ongoing transformation of space around them. The galaxy thought we were primitive because we embraced uncertainty. They never understood that uncertainty was the key to evolution itself. The legacy of humanity's victory wasn't just survival, it was a fundamental shift in how the galaxy understood progress. The species that had been dismissed as too primitive for contact had shown that true advancement wasn't about eliminating chaos, but about learning to thrive within it. As ships from across the galaxy began arriving at Earth, not seeking refuge but seeking understanding, humanity prepared to share its most valuable lesson. That in a universe of infinite possibilities, the most powerful force isn't the ability to impose perfect order, but the wisdom to dance with chaos itself. The age of rigid certainty was over. The era of beautiful uncertainty had begun. And humanity, the species that had learned to surf the waves of probability, was ready to show the galaxy how to embrace the impossible.